In 2022, a YouTuber paid over $5.2 million for a Pokémon card. Not a car, not a penthouse, not a yacht. A card. And here's what's even more insane. Right now, as you watch this, millions of people around the world are buying, selling, and investing in these cards like it's a global stock market. How did this even happen? How did a simple game made for children turn into one of the most obsessive collectible markets on Earth? Why are some cards worth more than luxury cars, while an identical-looking card is worth absolutely nothing? That answer is stranger than you think. It all started, not with cards, but with a boy who loved catching insects. In 1989, a young game designer named Satoshi Tajiri had a simple dream: create a game where kids could catch creatures and trade them. 7 years of work later, Pokémon was born. The video game launched in Japan in 1996, and that same year, the trading cards followed. But here's the thing. At first, these cards were just cheap, printed in the millions, easy to find. No one, not even the creators, thought they'd ever be valuable. Then came 1997. The anime aired. Kids everywhere got hooked overnight. By 1999, Pokémon had exploded across the entire world. Games, TV shows, movies, merchandise, and most importantly, cards were everywhere. In every school bag, every pocket, every playground. Kids were now obsessed. School playgrounds turned into mini trading markets. But here's the twist. Most kids didn't treat cards carefully. They bent them, creased them, traded them randomly, left them in the sun. And that carelessness is exactly what makes some of those cards worth a fortune today. Because the cards that survived, in perfect, untouched condition, became incredibly rare. Not rare because they were special, rare because almost every copy was destroyed by a 9-year-old. For years, cards stayed popular, but quietly. Then, 2020 happened. The world went into lockdown. People were stuck at home, bored, nostalgic. And millions of adults who grew up in the 90s suddenly remembered, hey, I used to have Pokémon cards. What are they worth now? The answer? A lot more than they expected. Then came the influencer wave. Logan Paul, one of the biggest YouTubers on the planet, spent millions opening rare card boxes live on camera. One of his most famous purchases was the Pikachu Illustrator card, a card that was originally given as a prize in a 1998 Japanese art contest. Only 39 were ever made. He paid over $5 million for it. News channels covered it. Auctions went viral. Prices shot up overnight. And suddenly, this wasn't just nostalgia anymore. This was money. Now, here's where it gets serious. Not all Pokémon cards are equal. Not even close. The value of a card comes down to 3 things. 1, rarity, how many copies exist in the world. 2, condition, is it perfect or does it have one tiny scratch? 3, demand, how many people want this right now? And condition is where it gets interesting. There are companies like PSA whose entire job is to grade trading cards. They inspect every millimeter, every edge, every surface. Then they give the card a score from 1 to 10. A PSA 10 is a perfect card, untouched, flawless. The same exact card in PSA 7 condition might sell for 50,000 rupees. In PSA 10, that same card could be worth over 50 lakh rupees. One tiny scratch, crores of rupees difference. So how do people actually make money from this? Method 1, pack opening. You buy sealed packs, tear them open, and hope you pull a rare card. High risk, basically a lottery. Method 2, flipping. Buy a card when demand is low, sell it when hype is high. Some people treat this exactly like stock trading. Method 3, long-term holding. Sealed boxes from 2000 are now worth lakhs. People store them in climate-controlled rooms, like fine wine. And Method 4, grading and reselling. Buy a card raw, send it to PSA, hope it grades a 10, and sell it for 10x what you paid. But here's the truth no one talks about. For every person who made lakhs from Pokémon cards, there are 10 more who lost it all. Fake cards, scams, market manipulation. This industry has a very dark side that most people never talk about. Counterfeit cards have become so advanced that even experienced collectors can't tell the difference. People have spent hundreds of thousands of rupees on worthless fakes. Then there are the grade tampering scandals, where criminals remove real cards from PSA cases and replace them with fakes. And at the top of the market, wealthy influencers have been accused of buying cards, hyping them publicly, then quietly selling their own collections at the peak. This market isn't just fun, it's a minefield. And if you don't know what you're doing, you will lose money. Despite all of that, the Pokémon card market is still worth billions. The Pokémon company generated over $15 billion in card sales since the cards launched. Online platforms like eBay, TCG Player, and whatnot move millions of dollars in cards every single day. Live auctions attract bidders from 50+ countries. Is it a bubble? People said that in 2003, and in 2012, and in 2021. The bubble never fully popped. A small piece of cardboard, designed for children in 1996, now worth more than cars, more than houses, more than most investments. And the craziest part? Pokémon cards are just one hidden market. There are dozens more out there, just as strange, just as real, just as profitable. So, which hidden market should I cover next? Drop it in the comments. And if you didn't know this world existed before today, now you do.